Okay, here we are. Last scene of Romeo and Juliet. So, in this video, we're going to read through and annotate Act 5, Scene 3. And this scene takes place in the Capulet tomb. And, Juliet's inside. She's been buried. And let's go ahead and make a comment box right here because it says, "Enter Paris with his page." And we're like, what? Why is Paris here? So we have to remember that Paris is still in love with Juliet and has come to the tomb to mourn her death by himself. Sometimes it's difficult to mourn at a funeral because there's all these other people and you feel like you can't really do what you need to do and to feel better. And so it makes sense. Paris is still very much in love with Juliet, and he was going to marry her. She was going to be his wife, and now he feels just awful. So he's come to the tomb to mourn her death. "Give me thy torch, boy, hence and stand aloof, yet put it out, for I would not be seen. Under yond yew trees lay thee all along." So we're going to make a comment right here as well. And people don't know that Paris is here. So he has come by himself, hasn't told anyone he's here. He's brought his page, but he says, "Go over there and hide. I don't want to see you. I want to be by myself. Holding thine ear close to the hollow ground, shall no foot upon the churchyard tread, being loose unfirm with digging up of graves, but thou shalt hear it. Whistle then to me as signal that thou hearest something approach. Give me those flowers. Do as I bid thee. Go." So he says, I want you to go stand over there and listen and watch for people to come. And if they come, whistle so that I know somebody's coming so I can hide myself. So the page says to himself, not to Paris, "I am almost afraid to stand alone here in the churchyard, yet I will adventure." And then he goes and hides. "Sweet flower, with flowers thy bridal bed I strew. Oh, woe! Thy canopy is dust and stones, which with sweet water nightly I will do." He says, I'm going to cry over your tomb every single night. "Or wanting that with tears distilled by moans, the obsequies that I for thee will keep nightly shall be to strew thy grave and weep." So the page whistles. "The boy gives warning, something doth approach. What cursed foot wanders this way tonight to cross my obsequies and true love's right? What, with a torch? Muffle me, night, a while." All right, so Paris is going to hide as well. So he's going to see who this is. So he goes to hide. So now Romeo and Balthazar come out with torch and with a bar to open up. So it says, "Give me that mattock and the wrenching iron. Hold, take this letter early in the morning. See thou deliver it to my lord and father. Give me the light upon thy life. I charge thee, whatever thou hearest or seest, stand all aloof, and do not interrupt me in my course." All right, so we're going to make a comment here. So he says, Romeo tells Bath, we're just going to use Bath for Balthazar, to go away and not try to stop Romeo from what he is about to do. And we know what he is about to do is he's going to go in there and kill himself. He says, "Balthazar, get out of here. I don't care what you hear or see. I don't want you here to stop me. Why I descend into this bed of death is partly to behold my lady's faith, but chiefly to take thence from her dead finger a precious ring, a ring that I must use in dear employment. Therefore hence be gone. But if thou, jealous, dost return to pry, and what I further shall intend to do, by heaven, I will tear thee joint by joint and strew this hungry churchyard with thy limbs. The time and my intents are savage wild, more fierce and more inexorable far than empty tigers or the roaring sea." Now he lies to Balthazar. He says, the reason I'm going in here is to go get a ring off of Juliet's finger, and I need that ring so that I can get a job. It's not true. He's making stuff up so that Balthazar will leave him alone. But he says, if you come between me and what I'm going to do, I am going to tear you limb from limb and throw your body parts all over this churchyard. I will be gone, sir, and not trouble you. So shalt thou show me friendship. Take thou that. So he gives him money. Live and be prosperous, and farewell, good fellow. And Balthazar says to himself, for all this same, I'll hide me hereabout. His looks I fear, and his intents I doubt. So he doesn't believe it. And he says, I'm going to hide so I can see what's actually going on. So he goes and hides. Everybody's hiding. All right. Romeo, thou detestable maw, thou womb of death, gorged with the dearest morsel of the earth. Thus I enforce thy rotten jaws to open, and in despite I'll cram thee with more food. He compares the tomb with a mouth that is hungry for dead bodies. So he opens the tomb. This is that banished haughty Montague that murdered my love's cousin, with which grief it is supposed the fair creature died, and here is come to do some villainous shame to the dead bodies. I will apprehend him. So Paris believes that Romeo is here to do more bad stuff to dead body. Like he's going to go in and desecrate this tomb. So he believes that Romeo's a villain and that he is angry at the Capulet still. He's come and he's going to desecrate the tomb. So he walks forward. Stop thy unhallowed toil, vile Montague. Can vengeance be pursued further than death? Condemned villain, I do apprehend thee. Obey and go with me, for thou must die. So we're going to highlight that. So he stands forth. We're going to make a comment box here, and we're going to say, Paris comes forth like a knight in shining armor to stop Romeo. He doesn't understand what is really going on. He thinks that Romeo is here to defile the Capulet tomb, which is messed up, right? Plus, Romeo is banished, and if any find him in Verona, it is supposed to be death. So he stands forth and he says, I am going to arrest you and take you to the prince. I must indeed, and therefore came I hither. Good gentle youth, tempt not a desperate man. Fly hence and leave me. Think upon these gone, let them affright thee. I beseech thee, youth, put not another sin upon my head by urging me to fury. Oh, be gone. By heaven, I love thee better than myself, for I come hither armed against myself. Stay not, be gone, live and hereafter say, a madman's mercy blade thee run away. So he says here that I don't want to fight you, but but if I do, then I will kill you. He says, I'm a desperate man. Don't mess with me. I do defy thy conjurations and apprehend thee for a villain here. Wilt thou provoke me? Then have at thee, boy. So they draw and they start fighting. Ching, 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 ching. So Paige says, oh, Lord, they fight. I will go and call the watch. Ching, 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 ching. Oh, I am slain. So Paris got stabbed. And he falls down. If thou be merciful, open the tomb. Lay me with Juliet. What? So in his final dying breath, he asks Romeo to lay him next to Juliet, right? So he asks Romeo to lay him next to Juliet, his love. Now, every year I ask my students, would you do this? Would you do this? And all the boys usually say, no, I wouldn't do this. There's no way I would lay another man next to my dead wife, right? And like, this seems crazy. That's what we're going to write. This seems crazy to us, but Paris really does love Juliet. So let's see what Romeo says. In faith, I will. What? So he says, yeah, absolutely, I will do that. let me peruse this face, Mercutio's kinsman, noble County Paris. What said my man when my betossed soul did not attend him as we rode? I think he told me Paris should have married Juliet. So we're going to highlight that. So Romeo says, yeah, I will do it. And so we need to kind of explain why he wants to do this. So Romeo agrees to Paris's dying wish because he understands what Paris is going through. Romeo is going through the same feelings. So he understands it's just because Paris wasn't actually married to Juliet doesn't make his feelings any less real. And he still loves Juliet. And so Romeo says, you know, I love Juliet. You love Juliet. Who cares if you are next to her dead body? Yes, I will lay you next to Juliet's dead body so that you can have your dying wish. And it's really important. Like, we always try to honor people's dying wishes, right? And in a Shakespeare play, if you don't, it's very possible that you could get cursed. And Romeo understands that. So he says, yeah, I will lay you next to Juliet. Said he not so, or did I dream it so? Or am I mad, hearing him talk of Juliet, to think it was so? Oh, give me thy hand, one writ with me in sour misfortune book. I'll bury thee in a triumphant grave. A grave? Oh no, a lantern, slaughtered youth. For here lies Juliet, and her beauty makes this vault a feasting presence full of light. Death, lie thou there by a dead man interred. So before we move on, we want to remind ourselves that Juliet had a vision of this, right? So this is Juliet's second vision. Remember, she said that she saw someone trying to kill Romeo with a sword, and she thought it was her cousin Tybalt. It was Paris. And so she had a vision of this fight scene. All right, so he lays Paris in the tomb. How oft when men are at the point of death have they been merry, which their keepers call a lightning before death. Oh, how may I call this a lightning? So then he goes next to his wife, next to Juliet. Oh, my love, my wife, death that has sucked the honey of thy breath hath had no power yet upon thy beauty. Thou art not conquered. Beauty's ensign yet is crimson in thy lips and in thy cheeks. And death's pale flag is not advanced there. So he makes this comment that Juliet doesn't look dead. She looks just as beautiful as she was before, right? So Romeo comments that Juliet still looks alive, that death hasn't taken her beauty yet. Well, I wonder why. Tybalt, liest thou there in thy bloody sheet? Oh, what more favor can I do thee than with that hand that cut thy youth in twain to sunder his that was thine enemy? He says, Tybalt, I'm going to do you a favor too and kill myself. Forgive me, cousin. Ah, dear Juliet, why art thou yet so fair? Shall I believe that unsubstantial death is amorous, and that the lean abhorred monster keeps thee here in dark to be his paramour? For fear of that, I will stay with thee tonight and never from this place of dim night depart again. So we're going to highlight also, he questions once again, why aren't you so fair? And he thinks, well, maybe death is in love with you and wants to keep you here as his lover. So he's keeping you beautiful for himself. Here will I remain with worms that are thy chambermaids. Oh, here will I set up my everlasting rest and shake the yoke of inauspicious stars from his world-wearied flesh. So we're going to highlight this as well in orange. And we're going to, in big, bold letters right here, we're going to write fate. And then let's make a comment box. Let's make a couple comment boxes. So right here, we need to remind ourselves that Juliet is still fair, right? She still looks alive. She still looks beautiful because she isn't dead, right? We know that she's not dead. Romeo does not. That's dramatic irony. And then here, Romeo says that he will shake off the yoke of fate by killing himself. Now, a yoke is something when you have oxen and they're pulling a cart, right? They're pulling a wagon. You want them to pull equally, right? Horses or oxen or something like that. You don't want like one horse going off. So you yoke them together, and they have this thing that goes across their shoulders and onto the other animal, and it ties them together. So they have to pull together, and then your wagon works better. And that's a very good image, because that's what Romeo feels. He feels like he's being yoked by fate, and he's being told you have to go this way, and he's like, I'm going to push that off. I'm going to shake off the yoke of inauspicious stars. Eyes, look your last. Arms, take your last embrace. And lips, oh, you the doors of breath, seal with a righteous kiss, a dateless bargain to engrossing death. Come, bitter conduct, come, unsavory guide, thou desperate pilot, now at once run on the dashing rocks. Thy seasick, weary bark, here's to my love. Oh, true apothecary, thy drugs are quick. Thus with a kiss, I die. All right, so Romeo's dead now. We're going to highlight in blue, because these are one of his famous lines. Oh, true apothecary, thy drugs are quick. Thus with a kiss I die. Remember, this isn't actual poison. This is just colored water. Don't want anyone to think I'm drinking poison. All right, he dies. There it is. Romeo's dead. So then Friar Lawrence comes in. St. Francis, be my speed. How oft tonight have my old feet stumbled at graves. Who's there? Here's one. Balthazar comes out, right? Here's one, a friend, and one that knows you well. Bliss be upon you. Tell me, good my friend, what torch is yon that vainly lends his light to grub and eyeless skulls? As I discern, it burneth in the capel's monument. It doth so, holy friar, and there's my master, one that you love. Who is it? Romeo. How long hath he been there? Full half an hour. Go with me to the vault. I dare not, sir. My master knows not, but I am gone hence, and fearfully did menace me with death, if I did stay to look on his intents. Stay then, I'll go alone. Fear comes upon me. Oh, much I fear some ill, unlucky thing. And he is feeling this fear because, wrong color. We want that in orange. So he's feeling this fear because of, you guessed it, fate. So he feels fate playing upon him and makes him feel fear. As I did sleep under this yew tree here, I dreamt my master and another fought, and that my master slew him. Romeo! He advances towards the tomb. Alack, alack, what blood is this which stains the stony entrance of this sepulchre? What means these masterless and gory swords to lie discolored by this place of peace? So then he enters the tomb. Romeo, O pale, who else? What Paris too, and steeped in blood? Ah, what an unkind hour is guilty of this lamentable chance. The lady stirs, and Juliet wakes. Oh, comfortable friar, where is my lord? I do remember well where I should be, and there I am. Where is my Romeo? There's a noise outside, right? I hear some noise. Lady, come from that nest of death, contagion, and unnatural sleep. A greater power than we can contradict hath thwarted our intents. All right, we're going to highlight that. What's the greater power? You know it. I know it. It is fate. So let's make a comment box right here. And he says, the power that has messed everything up is fate. Okay. Come away. Thy husband in thy bosom there lies dead, and Paris too. Come, I'll dispose of thee among a sisterhood of holy nuns. Stay not to question, for the watch is coming. Come, go, good Juliet. Now, we're going to underline the word dispose, because we want to talk about dispose. So then we will make a comment off of dispose. There we go. All right. So dispose means dispose. Get rid of by throwing away or giving or selling to someone else. All right. So we're going to also highlight in orange this, come, I'll dispose of thee among a sisterhood of holy nuns. So this is the new plan. So the new plan is that Lawrence will take Juliet to another church and make her a nun. All right. So it's interesting now, this whole use of the word dispose, because you dispose of garbage, right? And so he says to Juliet, I'll dispose of thee. And it's like he's saying, I need to get rid of the evidence. I'm going to get in trouble if you are not out of here. So I'm going to take you secretly to another church and I will make you a nun and no one will know what happened, because he is the villain of the play. I feel like there's so much evidence that points to Friar Lawrence as the bad guy, and he should not have done any of this stuff. He messed everything up, and he should have just gone to the parents and told them that, what Romeo and Juliet were trying to do, and then none of this would have happened. Except then we have the problem with fate, right? Maybe Friar Lawrence was fated to do this. Juliet. He says, there's a noise again outside. I dare no longer stay. Go, get thee hence, for I will not away. So Friar Lawrence leaves. What's here? A cup closed in my true love's hand? Poison, I see, hath been his timeless end. O churl, drunk all, and left no friendly drop to help me out after, I will kiss thy lips, haply some poison, yet doth hang on them, to make die with a restorative. So let's highlight. She's upset at Romeo because he drank all the poison. So she's like, I'm going to kiss his lips and try to get some poison off his lips so that I can die as well. So she kisses him. Remember that this was Romeo's vision, that she was going to kiss him. So that she found him dead and then she was going to kiss him and then he was going to come back to life. But that last part's not going to happen. Thy lips are warm. Yes, they're warm because he just died. So now the watch. Within. Lead, boy, which way? Yea, noise? Then I'll be brief. Oh, happy dagger. So she takes out Romeo's dagger. This is thy sheath. There rust, and let me die. So now Juliet is dead. She falls on Romeo's body and dies. So enter the watch, the page of Paris, all this stuff. This is the place there where the torch doth burn. The ground is bloody. Search about the churchyard. Go some of you. Whoever you find attached, pitiful sight. Here lies the county slain, and Juliet bleeding, warm and newly dead. Who here hath lain these 2 days buried? Go tell the prince, run to the Capulets, raise up the Montagues, some others search. We see the ground whereon these woes do lie, but the true ground of all these piteous woes we cannot without circumstance descry. So they're like, go get some evidence, get some witnesses. We're going to figure out what happened. Balthazar comes in. Here's Romeo's man. We found him in the churchyard. Hold him in safety till the prince come hither. And then they come back with Friar Lawrence. Here is a friar that trembles, sighs, and weeps. We took this mattock and this spade from him. He was coming from this churchyard side. A great suspicion. Stay the friar too. Then the prince come in. What misadventure is so early up that calls our person from our morning rest? Then Lady Capulet and Lord Capulet. What should it be that they so shriek abroad? The people in the streets cry Romeo, some Juliet, and some Paris, and all run with open outcry toward our monument. What fear is this which startles in our ears? Sovereign, here lies the county Paris slain, and Romeo dead, and Juliet dead before, warm and new killed. Search, seek, and know how this foul murder comes. Here is a friar then slaughtered Romeo's man, with instruments upon them fit to open these dead men's tombs. O heavens, O wife! Look how our daughter bleeds. This dagger hath mistaken, for lo, his house is empty on the back of Montague, and it missheathed in my daughter's bosom. So they see a Montague dagger in Juliet's body. Oh me, this sight of death is as a bell that warns my old age to a sepulchre. So now Montague comes in. Come, Montague, for thou art early up to see thy son and heir more early down. Alas, my liege, my wife is dead tonight. Grief of my son's exile hath stopped her breath. All right, so Lady Montague is dead as well. She probably had a heart attack or something. She was so upset that she died from grief. So Montague had his wife die this evening, and now he finds out that Romeo's dead. What further woe conspires against mine age? Look, and thou shalt see. Oh, thou untaught, what manners is in this, to press before thy father to a grave? Seal up the mouth of outrage for a while, till we can clear these ambiguities and know their spring, their head, their true descent. And then will I be general of your woes and lead you even to death. Meantime forbear, and let mischance be slave to patience. Bring forth the parties of suspicion. So we're going to have like an investigation now, and we're going to figure out what's going on. I am the greatest, able to do least, yet most suspected, as the time and place doth make against me of this dire for murder. And here I stand, both to impeach and purge myself condemned and myself excused. Then say at once, what dost thou know in this? So now Friar Lawrence is going to tell us the whole story. I will be brief, for my short date of death is not so long as is a tedious tale. Romeo there dead was husband to that Juliet, and she, there dead, that Romeo's faithful wife. I married them, and their stolen marriage day was Tybalt's doomsday, whose untimely death banished the new-made bridegroom from the city, for whom and not for Tybalt Juliet pined. You to remove that siege of grief from her betrothed, and would have married her perforce to county Paris. Then comes she to me, and with wild looks bid me devise some means to rid her from this second marriage, or in my cell there would she kill herself. Then gave I her, so tutored by my art, a sleeping potion, which so took effect as I intended, for it wrought on her the form of death. Meantime I writ to Romeo that he should hither come as this dire night to help to take her from her borrowed grave, being the time the potion's force would cease. But he which bore my letter, Friar John, was stayed by accident, and yesternight returned my letter back. So let's write a little comment here, so that we remember that Lawrence comes clean and reveals everything. So he's telling of everything that happened. We're getting everybody caught up on what's going on in the play. At the perfect hour of her waking came I to take her from her kindred's vault, meaning to keep her closely at my cell, to conveniently I could send to Romeo. And when I came, some minute ere the time of her awakening, here untimely lay the noble Paris and true Romeo dead. She wakes, and I entreated her come forth to bear this work of heaven with patience. And then a noise did scare me from the tomb, and she, too desperate, would not go with me, but as it seems did violence on herself. All this I know, and to the marriage her nurse is privy. And if aught in this miscarried by my fault, let my old life be sacrificed some hour before his time unto the rigor of severest law. So he says, this is what I've done. I did all this bad stuff, and I accept my punishment. Go ahead and kill me. Oops. Let's mark this in just yellow. Let's do a markup, not a comment. Okay. He says, go ahead and kill me. Let's write a comment there so we remember. So Lawrence asks the prince to kill him as punishment. He says, it's my fault. We have known thee for a holy man. Where's Romeo's man? What can he say in this? I brought my master's news of Juliet's death, and then in post he came from Mantua to this same place, to this same monument. This letter he early bid me give his father, and threatened me with death going in the fault. I departed not and left him here. Give me the letter, I will look on it. Where's the county's page that raised the watch? Sirrah, what made you your master in this place? He came with flowers to strew his lady's grave, and bid me stand aloof, and so I did. Anon comes one with light to ope the tomb, and by my master drew on him, and then I ran away to call the watch. This letter doth make good the friar's words, their course of love, the tidings of their death. And here he writes that he did buy a poison of a poor apothecary, and therewithal came to this vault to die and lie with Juliet. Where be these enemies? Capulet, Montague, see what a scourge is laid upon your hate. that heaven finds means to kill your joys with love, and I, for winking at your discords too, have lost a brace of kinsmen. All are punished. So we're going to highlight that in orange. He calls Montague and Capulet together. He says, do you see what's happened because of your fight? Everyone is dying. Everyone's being punished. Oh, brother Montague, give me thy hand. This is my daughter's joinatures, for no more can I demand. So Capulet goes to Montague and asks him, come on, let's be brothers now. Shake my hand. Montague, but I can give thee more, for I will raise her statue in pure gold, that while Verona by that name is known, there shall no figure at such rate be set than that of true and faithful Juliet. So now the feud is over. So we're going to make a comment right here. And we're going to say the feud is now over. Capulet asks Montague to be his brother. Okay, then right here we're going to write Montague says that he will build a statue of pure gold of Juliet. So then we're going to make a comment underneath that, a reply to it. And in the real world of Verona, there is actually a statue of Juliet in the main town square, although it is not made of pure gold. You can't really make a statue of pure gold. If it's pure gold, then it's going to be like really soft, and it's going to like not hold up its shape. So you'd have to mix it with other metals. But there is an actual statue of Juliet in the main square because, you know, Verona has kind of capitalized on this whole Romeo and Juliet thing and made it like a tourist thing. So you can come and see Juliet's statue. You can come and see Juliet's balcony, and you can kind of relive the play sort of thing. Smart businessmen there in Verona. As rich shall Romeo by his ladies lie, pour sacrifices of our enmity. So he says, awesome, thank you for that statue, and I am going to let Romeo be buried in the Capulet tomb because that is a big deal, right? So Capulet will allow Romeo to be buried by Juliet. So side by side. Prince has the final line. A glooming peace this morning with it brings. The sun for sorrow will not show his head. Go hence to have more talk of these sad things. Some shall be pardoned and some punished. For never was a story of more woe than this of Juliet and her Romeo. Okay, that's it. So go and do your after reading. Go ahead and look for The Futility of Fighting Fate and Light and Dark, no past against future. But lots of Futility of Fighting Fate and Light and Dark. And you did it. You made it through Romeo and Juliet. We read the entire play together. Hopefully you got a lot out of it. Hopefully you annotated. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And I will, this is it. Bye.